Hey Dad, I wanted to make a quick video for you getting started with stack and tilt. I know I sent you the book and you said you, I think at least you got through most of it, and a couple of things that I want to make sure that there's a lot of things in the book, and hopefully I can emphasize for you, having seen your swing. I got your swing on my computer, was looking at it on the plane out here for my meeting, and a couple of things that are important that you really emphasize, and a couple of things that maybe aren't as important given the swing that you already have. So for you, there's a couple things to focus on. I think the address position, which is covered very clearly in the book, obviously with the feet flared and the knee flex, etc. The one thing that's important for you, I think, is that your tendency is to flex your knees maybe a little too much, stand very erect with a very high head. Your chin is up in the air. And what ideally you'd like to do is maybe potentially decrease the knee flex just a little bit. And most importantly is you need to take your neck and you need to angle it down so that the golf ball is essentially in the center of your field of vision. You wouldn't hammer a nail with the nail at the very bottom of your eye sockets trying to hammer it. You want to put it right in the center of your vision so you can get a good hammer on it. So I think that's an important thing for you, is to make sure that when you're in your address position that you have the head tilted down slightly so that the ball is very clearly in your vision. And what that will help you do is execute a proper backswing, because the other portion of your swing that I think this will help you with is that by being in such an erect address position with your head very high, is that it's very easy in that posture to make a very flat shoulder turn, where the level of your shoulders is very flat, almost parallel to the ground. And by getting in a better posture where your head is down more, if you were to make that similar flat shoulder turn, you would feel pressure up against your chin and you'd feel your head move. So by having that better posture and having your head down more slightly, it's easier to get the shoulders to effectively tilt to the left, so that they would, instead of doing this kind of move with the head very high, is that with the head down, in order to avoid the chin, you can get more of the feeling of the tilting motion of the body tilting this way as opposed to this very flat shoulder turn. So that moves us into the backswing. And as you go through the book, there's several components. There's the tilting. They talk about spinal extension in the backswing. There's the inward movement of the arms. And for you, I can kind of break it down to upper body and lower body, what's most important. And I think for you, the most important thing, given that you have a relatively flat shoulder turn, is that you need to figure out how to get your two swing centers more on top of each other, on top of the ball. And that also kind of comes back to address, is that at address, I think a lot of people tend to over-exaggerate this weight on the left side, doing it one of two ways. They get everything over there too far, or they simply just push their lower body over. That way now you've got all this spine tilt starting your backswing. So ideally what you want to do is, if you just stand normally, you'll have your two swing centers, the middle of your hips and the middle of your shoulders right here, essentially right on top of each other. So in order to move the weight from 50-50 to 55-45, is all you've got to do is just move those centers about an inch or two to the left. And all I felt was, gosh, just about 5% of my weight went to the left side, and just by the nature of your right hand being lower on the club than your left, you'll have all the spine tilt that you need, because essentially you're still stacked straight up and down over the top of the ball now, which is just ahead of the middle of your stance here, a ball or two, is that now your centers are right in line with the ball, which is slightly forward in your stance, and by putting your right hand down lower on the club, you get just a little bit of spine tilt at address. So, okay, so backswing. So for you, given that flat shoulder turn, the move that I think is critical is getting your body used to the feeling of this spine tilt. And so the way that I feel it, and the way that is probably best to describe it, I think, is it's a pinching of your side area, your love handle, flank area, is that when you're making your backswing, I feel like I'm really compressing all that skin and that side of your body, and that my right side feels like it's stretching way up in the air. I'm almost bowing my right side and really crunching down on my left side. And really, you got to over-exaggerate that feeling initially so that you can really get yourself to where your shoulders are not on this angle anymore, but they're on this angle now, much more vertical shoulder plane. The other part has to do with the inward movement of your arms. So as you're standing here in the posture, you're making this side tilt to the left. The arms and the hands will pass through your belt line. The hands will move through your belt line along with the club. As you're making your backswing, your hands will continue to move inward so that they bisect your bicep as they move to the top of the backswing. So that's the upper body. The lower body, this is really important, is in the sense that with the feet slightly flared, it allows for better hip movement. So as you're making your backswing, it's important that you really do feel that the right leg does straighten and that the left knee does flex. And it should flex to where it basically obscures your view of your big toe. So it should go right over your big toe, so that when you're looking down, it should get pretty close to being right on top of that big toe. So that's kind of the lower body movement, and then you just got to mesh all three together. So as you start the club back with a little bit of that side tilt, right leg straightening, left knee flexing, hands going in. All of that happens kind of together. You don't want to exaggerate and go 90% on your left side. It's really, you're only going from 55, 45 to 60, 40 at the top of your swing. So that once you reach the top, you should feel like you've got all this strain and pressure on your left leg, because you're just 60, 40 at the top of your swing. So now's the most important thing. The most critical thing is the downswing. So once you make this move to the top, as you're tilting, knees flexing, tilting, 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 arms go in. This is the most important thing for anybody who slices, is that right now what your lower body does is your right knee stays flexed, your left knee rotates, flexes inward, your shoulders are flat, and what you do in the downswing currently, looking at the videos that we shot when we were in Florida, is that to start your downswing, your left knee locks out, your right knee pops towards the ball, your weight stays on your right foot, so your first move is essentially this, and what that does is it moves the low point of your swing well back, so now you're guaranteed to hit the ball, hit the ground first, or you have to pick it, pull your arms inward, so that you don't crash into the ground and you just hit a skull shot out to the right or just hit it thin. So the move you've got to make, and this is of critical importance, is that as your lower body, left knee flexes, right knee straightens, you should see a window in between my legs here. The most important move, as you're at 60-40 on your weight, is that to start your swing, your left knee, it needs to feel like it's actually flexing more into the ground, and that it's potentially moving out towards like right field, second base. So from the top, you'll have your knee flexed, right leg is straight, the left knee feels like it's pushing into the ground more, like it's flexing more, moving in that direction, all while this right leg stays straight. That's the feeling. So from the top, you're going to be up at the top of your swing, left knee will flex more out to the right. What happens is the hands and the club come down, the left arm stays inside the toe line, the right leg remains straight, feels almost straight, and then as you essentially move into this position, you then just rotate through the shot into your finish. So again, that is the most important thing for you to do, is once you can nail this side tilt, hips turning, side tilting, hips turning, side tilt, hips turn, arms in, at the top of the backswing, right leg is straight, not locked, but it's moved to a straighter position. The left knee flexes, pushes down, pushes almost out in this direction. Right leg is staying straight, and what that's doing is, if you get in this position where from the top of your swing you flexed your knee this way and kept that right leg straight, it's really hard to hit over the top or to hit it fat from that position. You've almost kind of eliminated the possibility of hitting the ball on the outside of the circle or well on the backside of the circle as far as hitting the ground. So if you can nail the position of tilts are good at the top, left knee flexes that way, right leg stays straight, arms come down, there's really no way to mess this up. You just turn through the shot, extend that spine as much as you can, push those hips forward, you should be in good shape. So head down, tilt the shoulders while you're turning the lower body appropriately, and the most important thing is that left knee feeling like it's compressing more, compressing that way. Right leg stays straight, don't let it pop out, stay straight. And really at impact, it should feel, again, just feel, and it's not going to look this way, but it should feel as though as the knee moves out, and you should feel that you strike the ball sort of in this position, but in reality your body will have rotated and the right foot will go from on the ground, instead of popping up in the air, the right foot will bank inward because of this good lateral move you'll make, and then it just slowly comes off the ground a little more and your follow through. So hope that helps.